When you wake up each morning, remember this: the greatest obstacles you face are not outside, but inside. Fear, doubt, laziness, and distraction. These are the hidden chains that hold you back. The world outside is never as heavy as the world you carry within. But once you decide, truly decide, that nothing will stop you anymore, you begin to break these chains. Obstacles lose their strength not because they vanish, but because you learn how to move through them. A mountain can block the path of one man, but another climbs it. The obstacle did not change, the person did. Bad energies surround us every day. Negativity of people, doubts of society, the poison of comparison. Do not absorb this energy. Instead, protect your mind like a warrior protects his temple. What enters your mind becomes the weapon you use against yourself, or the shield that protects you. Choose wisely. And dangers, yes, life will always present dangers, failure, betrayal, loss. But remember, every danger also carries within it an opportunity for strength. When you survive one storm, you become unshakable in the next. So today I tell you, walk forward with a spirit that cannot be broken. Train your body, sharpen your mind, purify your spirit. A strong tree does not fear the wind. It bends, but it never breaks. From this moment forward, let no obstacle, no dark energy, no danger hold you prisoner. Rise above them, and you will discover what it means to be truly free. Nothing will stop you anymore. Not because the world became easier, but because you became stronger. When most people think of obstacles, they imagine the external: a lack of money, a lack of opportunity, the weight of responsibilities, or the resistance of society. Yet the deeper truth is that the heaviest chains are not outside, but within. Every time you hesitate because of fear, every time you doubt your own strength, every time you give in to distraction or comfort, you are meeting the real obstacles of life. These inner blockages are subtle. They are invisible to others, but very real in your own experience. They can paralyze you before you even take a single step. If someone fears rejection, he does not need the world to reject him. The fear itself stops him from trying. If someone doubts his own worth, the opportunity may be right in front of him, yet he cannot take hold of it. In this way, the mind becomes the true gatekeeper of our progress. The world outside is difficult, but the world inside can be far more merciless if left undisciplined. The paradox is that many people spend their lives trying to change the external conditions, when in reality the decisive shift lies within. A mountain may stand before you, but whether you see it as a barrier or as a challenge depends on your mind. One person looks at the same mountain and says, "This is impossible, I cannot pass." Another looks at it and says, "Here lies my training, here lies my opportunity to climb." The external obstacle remains unchanged, but the inner interpretation completely changes the outcome. This is why in the traditions of self-cultivation, the focus is never first on conquering the outer world, but on mastering the inner. Because once the inner chains are broken, no external circumstance can imprison you. Once you recognize that fear is only a projection, that doubt is only a voice, that distraction is only a habit, you begin to see that your greatest opponent is not the world, but the part of yourself that surrenders too easily to these inner forces. When you sit still and observe your own thoughts, you may realize how quickly the mind creates obstacles that were never truly there. Before you even act, the mind invents stories of failure, it magnifies dangers, it imagines rejection, it convinces you that tomorrow will be a better day to start, that you need more preparation, that perhaps you are not yet worthy. These inner whispers can be more powerful than any real difficulty outside, because they strike before you even engage with reality. This is why training the mind is essential: meditation, discipline, physical practice, conscious breathing. These are not merely rituals, they are weapons against the illusions of the mind. To clear the mind is to strip away the shadows that block your path. When the mind becomes steady, fear loses its grip. When the mind becomes focused, doubt fades into silence. When the mind becomes disciplined, distraction no longer controls you. Then the so-called external obstacles reveal themselves for what they truly are, simply challenges that can be faced one step at a time. You must understand the world outside is always changing, but it is never as heavy as the world you carry within. A man can be wealthy, respected, and surrounded by opportunity. Yet if his mind is filled with fear and hesitation, he will remain a prisoner. Another may have very little, may face real hardships, but if his mind is strong, he will carve a path where none seemed possible. The difference is not in their circumstances, but in their inner condition. Therefore, the greatest training you can undertake is the training of your inner landscape. Do not ask first, how can I remove all the obstacles in the world? Instead ask, how can I master the obstacles within me? Because once you have gained mastery over the inner world, no outer obstacle will have the power to stop you. When people face obstacles, their first thought is almost always, how can I remove this? How can I escape it? The natural instinct of the human being is to wish for a life without resistance, a life where difficulties simply vanish. But life does not work in this way. Problems do not disappear because we desire it. Suffering does not evaporate because we pray for it to be gone. Challenges do not fade away because we complain about them. The law of life is simple. Obstacles will always be present, just as night follows day and storms follow calm skies. To live with the expectation that difficulties will disappear is to set yourself up for disappointment. Instead, the wisdom of the path teaches us this truth. It is not the removal of obstacles that gives us freedom. It is the transformation of the self that allows us to pass through them. The obstacle remains the same, but the person confronting it changes. Imagine water flowing down a mountain. If a rock blocks the stream, the water does not argue with the stone. It does not demand that the rock vanish. Instead, the water adapts, it flows around, it carves a new path, it slowly transforms the rock itself over time. In this way, the obstacle becomes part of the journey. The rock remains, but the water has not been stopped. This is the way of transformation. Too many people exhaust themselves in the struggle to eliminate obstacles, when in fact the path lies in reshaping themselves so that the obstacle no longer holds the same power. To remove anger from the world is impossible, but to transform your own reaction to anger is within your control. To eliminate pain from existence cannot be done, but to transform your relationship to pain, to see it as a teacher instead of an enemy, this is the doorway to freedom. In this way, the transformation is always internal, and once the inner transformation occurs, the outer obstacle loses its ability to dominate you. The discipline of transformation requires patience, and this is where many falter. People want instant change. They want the mountain to vanish in a single moment. They want their pain to dissolve without effort. They want their fear to be silenced without ever confronting it. But transformation is a process, just like forging steel. The fire must heat, the hammer must strike, the material must be shaped again and again. It is not comfortable, but comfort was never the purpose of growth. A martial artist does not remove the opponent from the fight. He transforms his own skill until the opponent can no longer harm him. A monk does not erase desire from existence. He transforms his relationship to desire so that it no longer controls him. A leader does not hope that difficulties in life will disappear. He transforms his mindset so that every difficulty becomes a stepping stone. This is why discipline is not punishment, it is transformation. It is the process through which you reshape yourself so that what once crushed you becomes the very force that strengthens you. And so the real question is never, how can I get rid of this obstacle? The real question is, who must I become in order to move through this? That shift in perspective is the essence of transformation. The same difficulty that breaks one person can awaken greatness in another. The same storm that destroys one tree can deepen the roots of another. Life will not become easier. The external world will not suddenly soften its trials for your comfort. But you, your character, your mindset, your spirit can transform into something so resilient, so adaptable, that no obstacle can dominate you again. In this way, transformation is liberation. It frees you not by removing what blocks your path, but by awakening the strength to continue walking despite it. Energy is life. Every thought you have, every word you speak, every action you take is powered by the energy you carry within. And yet most people allow their energy to be drained, scattered, and stolen by forces that do not serve them. You wake up in the morning with a certain amount of vitality, but before the day even begins, negativity seeps into your mind. A single argument, a small criticism, or a comparison on a screen can poison your spirit and drain your strength. This is why guarding your energy is not a luxury, it is a necessity for survival. Just as a warrior protects his body from weapons, you must protect your mind and spirit from the weapons of negativity, distraction, and doubt. What enters your inner world becomes either nourishment or poison. If you do not guard it, you will find yourself exhausted without knowing why, heavy without knowing how, defeated before the real battle even begins. Guarding your energy begins with awareness of what you allow in. Consider the conversations you have, the media you consume, the environments you inhabit. Each one of these is a stream that flows into the well of your mind. If the water is polluted, the well becomes poisoned. The negativity of people who constantly complain, the endless stream of comparisons on social media, the subtle suggestions that you are not enough. These are all toxins disguised as normal life. If you do not place a boundary, they will shape your thoughts, weaken your will, and cloud your vision. Guarding your energy does not mean you must isolate yourself from the world. It means you must become selective. A monk chooses carefully what thoughts to feed. A martial artist chooses carefully what influences to allow near. In the same way, you must choose carefully who and what is permitted to plant seeds in your mind, because those seeds will grow into the reality you live. But guarding your energy is not only about defense, it is also about cultivation. A garden cannot thrive if you only pull out weeds. You must also water the flowers. In the same way, it is not enough to reject negativity. You must also cultivate positivity. Feed your mind with wisdom. Expose yourself to teachings that uplift. Surround yourself with people who push you to grow rather than pull you down. Protect your time as though it were sacred, because it is time wasted on toxic influences, is energy you will never regain. Instead, spend it on practices that renew your spirit. Silence, meditation, physical training, deep breathing, acts of kindness. These are not distractions, they are the foundations of inner strength. They are how you recharge the well of energy that life constantly demands. Remember, you cannot fight battles on an empty tank. The world requires your strength, but first you must learn how to protect and replenish it. Guarding your energy also requires mastery of your inner dialogue. Even if the world outside is chaotic, what matters most is the conversation inside your mind. Do you speak to yourself with encouragement or with criticism? Do you tell yourself you are capable, or do you repeat the voices of doubt you absorb from others? Many people sabotage themselves without realizing it, not because the world is against them, but because their own thoughts are draining their energy. This is why the practice of mindfulness is essential: to absorb the voice inside, to correct it, to redirect it towards strength instead of weakness. The one who has mastered his inner dialogue has mastered the ultimate gatekeeper of energy. For no external negativity can penetrate a mind that has become its own protector. When you learn to guard your energy on all these levels, externally from influences, internally from toxic self-talk, and actively through cultivation, you discover a reservoir of power that was always within you. From this source you can act with clarity, with strength, and with an unshakable spirit. Most people see danger as something only to be feared, something to be avoided at all costs. Danger appears in many forms: failure, loss, betrayal, illness, uncertainty. And yet, the truth is that danger is one of life's greatest teachers. Without it, growth remains shallow. Without it, courage is never tested, resilience never forged, wisdom never awakened. Imagine a warrior who has never faced the battlefield. He may wear the armor, he may carry the sword, but his strength is unproven. The first real threat will break him. In the same way, when life places you in situations of danger, it is not simply to harm you, it is to show you the parts of yourself that remain untrained, untested, unready. Danger exposes weakness, but it also reveals the exact areas where transformation must occur. To reject danger is to reject the opportunity to meet your deeper self. Consider the child who learns to walk. Every step contains danger. The possibility of falling, of hitting the ground, of feeling pain. If the child feared danger and never stood up, he would never walk. Instead, the danger teaches him balance. The fall teaches him resilience. The pain teaches him awareness. In this same way, every danger in your life has the potential to teach. A financial loss teaches you discipline and adaptability. A betrayal teaches you discernment and the value of trust. A failure teaches you humility and perseverance. Even illness can teach you about the fragility of the body and the importance of caring for it. None of these dangers are pleasant, but they are all teachers. If you run from them, you learn nothing. If you face them, you gain lessons that no book, no lecture, no comfortable experience could ever provide. The harsh teacher is still a teacher, and often the most valuable one. Danger also sharpens the mind. When you are too comfortable, your awareness becomes dull, your spirit becomes heavy, and your body becomes slow. Comfort is sweet, but it can also be poisonous. Danger, however, wakes you up. It heightens your senses. It forces you to focus. It brings you into the present moment with intensity. A man walking on flat ground may daydream, but a man walking on the edge of a cliff pays full attention to every step. That level of awareness, cultivated in moments of danger, is the same awareness that can be carried into daily life. You do not need to live recklessly, but you do need to recognize that danger forces you to awaken qualities that otherwise lie dormant. Courage cannot grow without fear. Strength cannot grow without resistance. Awareness cannot grow without threat. This is why those who only seek comfort remain weak, while those who have faced danger, even if scarred by it, carry a depth and presence that cannot be faked. The ultimate shift is to stop seeing danger as an enemy, and to begin seeing it as a guide. When fear arises, ask yourself, what is it trying to teach me? When failure strikes, ask what lesson is hidden here. When betrayal wounds you, ask what truth about human nature must I now understand. This change in perspective transforms suffering into wisdom and fear into growth. You no longer become a victim of danger, you become its student. And once you are willing to learn from it, danger loses much of its power to control you. It no longer paralyzes, because you see the value behind the pain. It no longer destroys, because you recognize the lesson behind the loss. This is the warrior's path, not to deny danger, not to collapse under it, but to face it, learn from it, and rise stronger because of it. The body can be struck down, the mind can be shaken, circumstances can collapse, but the spirit, if properly cultivated, remains unbreakable. What is this unbreakable spirit? It is the inner core that refuses to surrender, even when everything external has been lost. It is the flame that continues to burn in the storm. Many people confuse strength with physical power or with intellectual sharpness, but true strength lies in spirit. A strong body will age, a sharp mind may falter, but a strong spirit endures beyond both. This is why in the training of martial arts and in the discipline of inner cultivation, so much emphasis is placed not only on the body and mind, but on the spirit. Because the spirit is the force that sustains you when your body is exhausted and your mind is filled with doubt. Without it you collapse, with it you rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. An unbreakable spirit is not created overnight. It is forged through trials, through discipline, and through choice. Every time you continue when it would be easier to stop, you are strengthening your spirit. Every time you endure hardship without bitterness, every time you choose patience over anger, perseverance over surrender, courage over fear, you are tempering your inner core. Just as steel is forged in fire, so too is the spirit forged in difficulty. People who seek only comfort may enjoy ease for a while, but their spirit remains fragile. The first strong wind will uproot them. Those who willingly walk into challenge, however, who do not turn away from struggle, gradually develop a spirit that cannot be bent. They may be wounded, they may be tired, but they remain standing. Their strength does not come from avoiding life's storms, but from learning to remain upright within them. The unbreakable spirit also requires alignment of body, mind, and purpose. If your body is trained but your mind is weak, your spirit cannot anchor itself. If your mind is sharp but your purpose is shallow, your spirit cannot endure. It is the harmony of all three that gives rise to unshakable resilience. A tree stands strong because its roots, trunk, and branches all work together. If the roots are weak, the storm topples it. If the trunk is hollow, the wind splits it. In the same way, to build an unbreakable spirit, you must cultivate discipline in the body, clarity in the mind, and sincerity in your purpose. This trinity forms the foundation of strength that cannot be destroyed by external forces. Even when one aspect falters, as the body eventually will, the others sustain the spirit and allow it to shine through. The mark of an unbreakable spirit is not that it avoids falling, but that it refuses to remain on the ground. Every defeat becomes a lesson, every pain becomes fuel, every obstacle becomes training. With such a spirit, you no longer ask whether you will succeed or fail, whether the path will be easy or hard. You only ask, will I continue? And the answer is always yes. That is what makes the spirit unbreakable. It does not depend on conditions. It does not depend on comfort. It does not depend on the approval of others. It is a choice, renewed in every moment, to rise again, no matter how many times you are pushed down. When this spirit awakens in you, life itself transforms. You no longer live in fear of what might come, because you know that nothing, not pain, not loss, not failure, can destroy the force that resides within you. The storms of life will still come, but you will stand in their center unshaken. So when we gather all these lessons, what do we see? That the real obstacles are not outside, but within. That the path is not to remove challenges, but to transform ourselves through them. That we must guard our energy with care, for it is the fuel of our journey. That even danger, when seen with wisdom, becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. And that in the end, the most powerful weapon we carry is an unbreakable spirit. Understand this: the storms of life will never stop. The mountains will never vanish. The world will not reshape itself to suit your comfort, but you, your body, your mind, your spirit, can become so resilient, so awake, so strong, that nothing can truly stop you anymore. Do not seek a life without obstacles. Seek instead the strength that allows you to walk through them. Do not pray for a world without struggle. Train yourself to transform through the struggle. Then you will see obstacles become your training, danger becomes your teacher, and every challenge becomes a step forward. And when you live in this way, with awareness, with discipline, with a spirit that does not break, you are no longer a prisoner of circumstances. You are free. Free to move, free to grow, free to rise, again and again, no matter what stands before you. Nothing will stop you anymore.